Hi, and welcome to Life Matters. I'm Dr. Pam Jarbo.
And I'm Dr. Steve Jarbo.
In today's show, we're going to cover the topic of aging gracefully. We'll be presenting an article that was in the New York Times recently about a Norwegian University of Science and Technology study.
Then we're also going to talk about antioxidants and free radicals. I'm going to get really scientific on you today.
And we'll also be reviewing a book called The 100-Year Lifestyle.
And then we're going to review a couple of questions, regular questions that frequently come up in our practice with some of our patients.
And I have a research study that I want to share with everyone about chiropractic and brain function. Recently in the New York Times, there was an article written about the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. They developed this sophisticated algorithm that tests the age of people. You can go online and use their online calculator in order to find out about your actual age versus your chronological age. And it's based on a variety of different factors, including your cardiovascular health, your waist size, and your exercise stamina. And what they found was that people who are regular exercise advocates do so much better as far as aging. And the average person who participated in the study was 25 years younger than their chronological age, which was a really significant study.
Not a real surprise, really. I mean, everybody knows that we're supposed to exercise, but to get actual studies that back that information up is amazing. So people who exercise, their cells in their body is 25 years younger than people who are sedentary and aren't exercising. That's amazing. So that's just proof that we really need to exercise. That's one of the components and pillars of health that we talk about on our show here.
So does that remind you of anyone in chiropractic?
It does. So over the past 18 years of being in practice, a number of people pop into my head, but there's one gentleman in particular that mentioned that when he retired about 15 years ago, which is when he started coming into my office to get his spine checked, that's when he really started exercising. Because before he had this story in his head that he didn't have time to exercise. Now he's retired, and instead of his health declining over time, he feels that he's getting healthier and healthier every single year. And he comments to me almost every time I see him. He's like, Dr. Steve, I've been getting adjusted by you for 15 years, and I swear I'm healthier now than I was 15 years ago. But yet, he's 15 years older. So you would think he's almost 80 years old now. You would think by the time he's 80, his health is declining, and he states that he's getting healthier even though he's getting older. So it's really, really amazing. And so he's been exercising and eating well, but also getting his spine and his nervous system checked. He's doing all the things that we talk about on this show. And so he may have started later in life incorporating these things into his lifestyle, but that's a really important thing to know also, is that a lot of people just think, well, it's too late now. I'm already 50 or I'm already 60, it's over now, but it's not. It's never too late to start increasing your health and getting more vitality back into your life.
It's amazing how the body adapts no matter what your age. This research study that was done in the Norwegian University of Science and Technology said that most of the athletes in that study were over age 50. And so they were in the senior Olympics, but that the categories are different, but that they could definitely do it. And I just want to echo what you were saying about people in the practice saying that they're better and better each year, where they're expecting that they would get worse and worse. Even with people who don't exercise, that's something I've heard regularly, that people are gaining body confidence and able to do activities, whether that's gardening or cleaning their house, when they felt like they were getting more and more broken, they're getting healthier and healthier. And part of that is just nerve supply. That's the one thing that they're doing differently. But if you were able to increase the nerve supply to all the tissues in your body and exercise, that'd be real significant. It kind of reminds me of a famous person that we know who's a really huge advocate of exercise and juicing. And
Right. So who Dr. Pam is referring to is Jack LaLanne. So if any of you people remember watching TV in the 70s, Jack LaLanne was one of the first fitness gurus, and he had his own TV show, and he wore that funny looking jumpsuit. But Most people don't know that Jack LaLanne was actually a chiropractor, and he realized the importance of having a healthy nerve supply in order to be healthy. But he figured, since this was the 70s and health and fitness was just becoming really popular, he figured he can help and reach more people by talking about exercise and talking about nutrition. And so he had his juicers, and he would talk about, you know, drinking good smoothies and exercise. But he and both of his daughters are also chiropractors. So he knows that one of the true components of being healthy isn't just exercising and eating right, but also having positive nerve flow going from the brain to all the body parts so that you can exercise. So a lot of people do want to exercise, and what we often hear is that, you know, their back hurts or their knee hurts or their shoulder hurts and they can't exercise, and they're on this downward spiral. So what often happens is that as their nervous system and their spine get healthier, they're able to move their body a little bit more. And they're able to at first just go for little walks around the block, and then they're walking 2-3 miles a day. I had a woman this morning, she's 78 years old, and she's walking 3 miles a day right now, up and down the rail trail in Pepperell. So the spiral that I talked about going downward can also start going upward as you get healthier and a little bit stronger, so you can start getting your spine checked and getting stronger. Nerve flow goes to the muscles and tissues, then you can start exercising. You can always start eating better. So we constantly see health spiraling in a good direction as people start getting healthier and healthier and their nervous system checked and eating better and exercising.
I think for some of the people in our office, it's somewhat overwhelming if you feel like you're so deep in the hole. But I think about it like you're just making deposits into the bank account of health or vibrancy. And so every little step that you take, it's like putting a quarter in your piggy bank jar, and over time those build up and accumulate, and you start really building momentum. So it's exciting to be a part of that for the people that are in our practice.
Well, that was a great study that was in the New York Times that Dr. Pam just found today. So we're happy to share that with you, and hope you get something out of that information that we just shared. Okay, so now for our Ask the Doc question. We got a couple of questions that came in this week, and one of them is relating to the elderly. Somebody asked, will it hurt for me to get adjusted, or since I'm old, will it break my bones? People are concerned, is it going to break my bones if you adjust me? So how would you answer that, Dr. Pam?
I often hear patients talk about having osteoporosis or osteopenia and being scared. And, you know, I think we've said before on the show that it's not like a sumo wrestling event when people come into our office and get adjusted. And so it's an important thing to realize that we specialize in a very low force technique. It's about the amount of force that you would use if you were testing whether or not to buy a tomato. And so we adjust brand new babies, and we have adjusted all the way up to my 102-year-old grandmother. She was our most elderly patient, but we've had other centenarians in our practice. And so it's a common thing for us to adjust elderly patients. It happens often. And so it's about like the amount of pressure you'd put on your eyeball. And we have a little tool that we use that is another device that is really helpful to people, and they get great relief from it. And so it's a great question. Would you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so part of the answering that question about will it hurt, no, it never hurts. So that's really important to know. And as Dr. Pam said, babies, I've adjusted one-day-old babies. So obviously they're very fragile, very gentle creatures, and so the adjustments are very light and gentle for them. So one of the people that come to mind about this was a woman who, at a younger age, she fractured some vertebrae because she had a seizure, and a couple of her vertebrae literally fractured. So her bones are obviously very brittle, and she has osteoporosis. And she was told by her doctors that she was never going to be able to lift anything more than 5 pounds because it would just put too much pressure on her spine and her bones may break.
At the time, she couldn't lift a glass of water. It was so painful for her.
Right.
I remember this. And it took about 6 appointments for her to feel okay with me adjusting her.
Right.
She had to watch me adjust other people. And
Right. And so this was a few years ago, and at the time she didn't have any grandchildren. Since then, she has either 2 or 3 grandchildren now, and she's our biggest advocate to people who are afraid to get adjusted, because she is on cloud 9 that she's able to hold her grandchildren. She picks them up, and they're like 30 pounds now. They were born, at 7, 8 pounds, and after 2, 3 years, she holds her grandchildren. She can pick them up and carry them, and nothing happens with her spine. Her spine's getting healthier and stronger, and in fact, she's regained 3 inches of height. Now, this is something that we can't guarantee, or doesn't happen to everybody, but what happened was that her spine was so compressed with all the pressure and tension in her spine that it literally made her feel like she was shrinking. As her spine started freeing up and getting looser and looser, she literally started gaining some of her height back and some of her nerve flow back and strength back to her muscles, and she can hold her grandchildren now.
It's really exciting, and she's very sweet about it. She'll come in and tear up and talk about what she's able to do, because she really had lost so much hope. So, if there's someone out there that what is worrying them is that it might hurt them, it's ridiculous. I just recently had an elderly woman come in who was really, really scared. She's having numbness in her foot, and was again very similar, don't touch me, I don't want you to hurt me. And it's been 4 weeks, and she came in and she just can't believe how different it is. She'd like to move in with us, but we've said no. So yeah, anyway, it's a great question, and it is not painful. And after the first adjustment, so many people are just thinking well, what were they scared about? It feels amazing, actually.
Right.
So.
And they're like, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that gentle. Because a lot of people may say, oh, it's really gentle, it doesn't hurt, but in our office, it truly is gentle and never hurts, and they get great results. So it's never too late, and we're not going to break bones, and it doesn't hurt.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, you can write to us for our Ask the Doctor segment to drstevejarboe@gmail.com, DRSTEVE @gmail.com.
In relation to the aging and anti-aging, recent studies show just really, really techie, geeky information about these studies. These things called telomeres, which are basically the very tips of our chromosomes, in research studies show that people who are sick and aging at a quicker rate than other people who aren't aging, it shows that these people, their telomeres or their chromosomes, are smaller than healthy people. So the studies show that people who have diseases such as cancer and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, their chromosomes, or the end of their chromosomes, the telomeres, are shortened compared to healthier people. So what do you do to prevent that, or what do you do to help your chromosomes? Well, the studies show that the major thing that is helpful in that anti-aging process is eating things that have high antioxidants. So what antioxidants are, antioxidants fight the things in our body that are called free radicals. Free radicals are basically the start of a disease process. And free radicals form as a result of environmental toxins. So things that we're breathing, things that we're eating. If your foods have a lot of chemicals on them, it starts to form free radicals in our body, which then starts to form sicknesses, disease, and illness. So in order to fight or combat these free radicals, you want to eat things called antioxidants. And the things that have high antioxidants, things that are really good for you, thank God these are things that taste good as well. It's nothing nasty. So the best things to eat are lots of red grapes, purple grapes, blueberries, cherries are really high in antioxidants, pomegranates, all sorts of berries, raspberries, strawberries. Even some nuts, such as walnuts. Walnuts are really high in antioxidants, also really high in omega-3s, which are the good fats for our body. So in order to fight the free radicals, increase your intake of antioxidants, and that's gonna help your chromosomes and the telomere part of your chromosomes to lengthen, which helps fight that anti-aging process. So I know that was a little techie, but eat all those good foods, and it does help you live a longer, stronger, healthier life.
Okay, this week's Book Geek Moment is brought to you by me, and I'm here to talk about The 100-Year Lifestyle. This book is written by a chiropractor, and it is about how the fastest growing population in the United States is people who are over 100 years old. And they're a very interesting group because so many of them didn't expect to live to be 100. And so some of them are sort of surprised by it in many different ways, like in relationships, financially, health and fitness wise. And so this book talks about how to plan for a 100-year lifestyle. And so it has a lot of different tools and help in it. And they also have a website called the100yearlifestyle.com. And so you can get more tips and tricks from that website, but it's a wonderful book written by a chiropractor that gives you lifestyle choices that can really influence enjoying the years that you have in your life. Some of the choices that are discussed in the book are things that are somewhat obvious, but sometimes neglected, which are antioxidants, nerve supply, exercise, sleep. But then they also give financial advice for how to plan for your years later on so that you have enough and can be provided for. And they give you some of the top health, wellness, and financial sources are here to give you help on the site and in the book. Athletes have actually contributed to exercises that you can do to increase your vitality and strength as you're aging. And so this is a great resource for you to enjoy. What would we call this? Like your brain and aging. How about that? Yeah. One of the things that so many patients share with us in the practice is their concern about their brain as they're aging. Just wanting to make sure that their brain functions well. And there are many things you can do about that. So many people just feel the victim of what might happen to them. But it's very possible for you to actually do certain things to help your brain to function better. One of the things I want to talk about today is about chiropractic and your brain. Dr. Roger Sperry, who is a Nobel Prize winner for his science studies on the brain, says that 90% of the brain function comes from movement of the spine. So if you think about movement of the spine like the power of a windmill, and it is feeding like a nuclear power plant. That's really what's happening. And so the less movement there is in the spine, the less function there is in the brain. Your spine is providing stimulus to the brain so that it understands where your body is in space. It's really a neural thing. So if you think about it, like the communication superhighway of your body is